Hi friends, it's Holly. How are you? Welcome back. Welcome if you're new. Today we're going to be a little chatty for a couple minutes before I show you what I worked on this week. If you're not into chatty and you want to fast forward, that's cool. I understand. Sometimes I'm not into chatty either, but we're going to talk about not successful projects when we embark on a new quilting project or sewing project and it just doesn't go to plan. So we all, okay, back up. I have a very substantial fabric stash and it was expensive, and some of it, especially like the Tula stuff that's out of print or, some of it's not only is it expensive, but it's not going to come around again. When they release a collection and it isn't going to be reprinted, that's it. That's all you get. And so cutting into it can be daunting. But if you don't, then for one thing, it becomes your stash forever, which your grandchildren are going to just be thrilled about when you're gone and they're stuck with a whole bunch of fabric. I know my children will be like, well, what am I supposed to do with all this? And it's there to use, right? You get it to use. And it's not always gonna go to plan. My first real quilt was for a contest at a local quilt store, and it had to be half square triangles. I didn't win. just so you're not on the edge of your seat waiting for, what did you win? I totally didn't win. My lovely friend Marcella won, and as well she should have. But I didn't know anything about half square triangles. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know how to use a pattern. But I thought in my little brain that I wanted it to look like a nebula, like a star being born. And I was in love with grunge, and I'm still in love with grunge. Grunge can do no wrong. Even yellow grunge is okay with me. So I pulled out like every color of grunge, and I learned to have square triangles, and I created a quilt where, I'm not sure any points line up on this quilt. Some, maybe a few. But, and I hand quilted it on my regular machine, and I hand stitched the binding down, and I chose a dedication that was just like super inspirational for me. And dang if I don't love that quilt. I mean, I love that quilt. It's hanging in our hallway. Every time I walk by it, I'm like, you're awesome. It's not awesome. It's got mucho problems, but to me, it's awesome. Now, there are going to be times when things don't go out that way. Let's just, for example, discuss this abomination. You might remember this back from a few months ago, where I learned a nifty new technique to cut jelly rolls, and I had jelly rolls and they were out of print Tula fabric, and I cut them up and I put them together, and oh man, it's bad. It's ugly. It's just ugly. But I learned that you really ought to stick to what the pattern suggests you do, which I kind of went rogue, and I have a tendency to do that. Go rogue. And I learned that even though a lot of cool fabrics that look cool together when you're doing it don't always happen, magic doesn't always happen. So, but I tried and I learned a lot. Again, I learned a lot, and even though I can't ever get that fabric back, I think that it did me well. I think it helped me to understand lots of things that I now understand. So this week, I made my Cori Dantini quilt. It is adorable, but it was very easy, which is another stumbling block I sometimes have when you're a new quilter and you're learning, that I think every quilt I do ought to be difficult, or ought to be of a level that's like above what I've done the last time, so that I keep stretching my abilities, which I think is good. But sometimes you just want to do something fun, and this was fun. It was so much fun. It's so adorable. My pattern isn't right here next to me, but I will show it to you. Cori puts out collections seasonally. She does like like a Christmas collection, and then like before that it would have been like the Halloween collection, and this was her previous, not this year but last year, I'm pretty sure, collection for winter. So I had this idea of where it was going to go and exactly how wide it needed to be. We have a wall in our living room, which used to be our dining room, that is we painted with chalkboard paint, and my grandchildren used to come over, and this is the reason why it's black. It's just a super long story, and you really don't need to hear that. But anyway, it's no longer the dining room, it's the living room, and the TV is there, and so there's just this little space where a quilt works really well. So I made it, and I quilted it on my machine, and then I hand stitched all the binding to it, because I really like how that looks better than when you stitch them down. And I hung it up, and well, you'll see. So there it is, hanging where it was intended to hang, and I don't like it. It isn't that I don't like it. I like it. It's very cute. All these super cute little snow people. And I made it this size specifically to hang it in this space. I thought, oh, that's gonna pop right off that black wall, and it's gonna be awesome. But I don't really do pastels. I don't know. I just don't like it. So we're gonna pivot. We're gonna adapt. I'm gonna figure something else out. And so I improvised, and it came to live in the sewing room. And I'm much happier, much happier. And yes, I know it's a little wonky, but it's good. It's good there. I think now when I look in that corner, I see Christmas. I also took the pillow case off the pillow and hung it on the wall, because why not? And that's what happened. So things change. You shake them up. You put them in the jar, you shake them up and go and see what happens. And sometimes that happens where you come out with happy, and sometimes there's no hope. Oops, I threw it over in the corner. The bad quilt. There's no hope. But yeah, I tried. So, it's that thing about, if you don't try, you don't know if you're going to fly. It's fly or fail. And I don't know. I don't think failing is really ever failing. I think there's always some sort of lesson in there. So I encourage you to go through the stash, dig out that stuff that you're saving just because of what it is, unless of course you're intending to save it and sell it in some time period where you can get a fat quarter of Tula Pink for $80 or some ridiculousness. So, and give it a shot. Just do what makes you happy. Just do what makes you happy. So I hope you're all super good. I hope you're happy. I am just digging this time of the year. I'm so excited to get lights up on the house, and I'm your girl for Christmas. So be well, be safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.